Assalamu alaikum. This is lecture 8 of Information and Communication Technologies, and in this lecture I am going to discuss about computer networks and how computers communicate with each other. So we will start with basic computer network definitions and their basic usages, and then we will move to common network types and topologies that are in use currently. We will discuss briefly about communication technologies and some of the network protocols and standards. And finally, I will discuss about an well-known network model often referred as OSI network model. So basically, a network is a collection of computers and devices connected together through communication devices and transmission media. So networks are responsible for data communication, which is the electronic transfer of information between computers. It became major focus for the computer industry. Data communication allows computers to exchange information between themselves, and the people can share a wide variety of information between computers. So one of the big example of networks is internet itself. So internet is a big network of connected devices. So internet or other networks help you to facilitate your communication. Internet is helpful for hardware sharing and sharing data and information, and also sharing of software tools. So computer communication describes the process in which two or more computers or devices transfer data or information. So basically in a network there are two devices. The one is called the receiving device and the other is called the sending device. So the sending device initiates the instruction to transmit data, instruction or information to the sender. This device uses some form of communication device which connects the sending device to the communication channel. Thirdly, the communication channel is the media on which the data or instruction usually travel. Communication device finally connects the communication channel to the receiving device, and then receiving device accepts the transmission of data, instruction or information. So here is the illustration of the most common uses of computer communication, and you are well aware that you can use these kind of communication in satellite, GPS tracking, and in cellular mobile communication. So these are just two uses of computer communication. The computer communication consists of many domains where communication is necessary to complete operations. One aspect of computer communication relates with the personal communication, so which is the communication of individuals with themselves. So you are very much familiar with these services in which you can access through internet and communicate on a personal level. So another common communication for the personal use is email, video conferencing, and voice over IP, which is the calling from the internet to the mobile phones. So typically it is achieved through web services. Web services enable the programmers to create applications that communicate with other remote computers over the internet or on an internal business network. So if you combine two or more services to provide one service to the end user, it is usually called a mashup of, of web services. So here is an example. So if you want to get the prices of some products, you can see there are different servers from where the product prices are fetched and delivered to end user in one application. So there are many types of computer networks, and commonly used are local area network, wide area network, metropolitan area network, home area network, and campus area network. So there are different ways to connect the computers, and two common architectures are client-server network and peer-to-peer network. So let's look briefly at the details of each of the common network types. So first is the local area network. So as the name suggests, it is the network that connects the computers and devices in a limited geographical area. So it can be a wireless local area network that can use no physical wires. So each computer connected is called a node, and the nodes are connected through cables, infrared links, or wireless media. So you can connect printers, servers, and computers, and usually it is in a limited geographical area, therefore systems are close to each other. So for example, they can be contained in a lab, in a building, or in an office environment. So this is a local area network. That means it will not connect to public environment. So this such as the internet. And organizations usually have several local area networks. The next common type is the wide area network, which is a network that covers a large geographical area. Therefore, if you have two or more local area networks connected on a wide range of geographical area, it is called a wide area network. Typically, this use public and leased lines such as phone lines, cables, radio waves, and communication satellites. So internet is one big wide area network. The third network is the metropolitan area network, which is a high-speed network that connects lanes in a metropolitan area such as in a city or town and handles the bulk of communication activity across that region. Typically, it includes one or more lanes but covers a smaller geographical area than a wide area network. It is usually managed by a consortium of users or by a single network provider that sells the service to the users. These can be some telephone companies, cable television operators, and other organizations providing users with the connection to metropolitan area network. Another network type can be a home area network, which is small scale network and found mainly in the homes. It connects computers and entertainment appliances. So you can connect a person's digital devices from multiple computers and their peripheral devices such as printers to telephones, DVDs, televisions, home security systems, small appliances, and other digital devices that are wired into the network. Campus area networks are very much applicable to one building or multiple buildings, which follows the same principle as local area networks but only at a larger and more diversified scale. So a LAN is one geographic area connecting resources related to the same organization. So each department shares a local area network with a campus area network. Different campus offices and organizations can be linked together. So some university department or organizations might be linked to campus area network even though they already have their own separate local area networks. The final type is the personal area network, which is a very small scale network ranging radius less than 2 meters. So you can use cell phone, PDAs, MP3 players using the Bluetooth or other communication devices. Personal area networks can be used for communication among several personal devices themselves. It is called intrapersonal communication or for connecting to a higher level network and the internet. So a personal area network may also be carried over the wide computer buses such as USB. So next we had two architectures, and first was the client server network. So in the client server network we have two types of computer. One are referred as clients, which are the computers or devices on the network that request and utilize the network resources. Server are the computers that provide those resources to serve the request. So clients connect through one or more servers. On the other hand, the second network architecture is the peer-to-peer network, and in the peer-to-peer network, all the nodes are equal. That means there is no client and no server. So all the computers are at the same level, and internet P2P computer is performed using the internet. So in the P2P networks, computers communicate directly with each other without the need of intermediary servers. So you can use different kinds of layouts to connect your computers to form a communication network. So the common types of computer network layouts, or in other words topologies, are star topologies, bus topologies, and network rings. So as you can see in the star network, you have a central node and all the computers are connected to the central node. On the other hand, if you use a bus topology, you can see you have a single line of communication and all the communication nodes request to this central line or bus. In the ring network, you can see the network is formed using intermediary connection between the computers. So you can choose any type of network topology based upon your need. So you can choose any one of these, and your choice may affect by the network performance, network size, and the network collision detection. The next is the communication channel, which is the backbone on which the data transfers from client to the server or sender to the receiver. So the amount of data that can travel over the communication channel is sometimes called the bandwidth, and usually you have the latency, which is the time that it takes the signal to travel from one location to another on a network. So you will like to have a network which has the higher bandwidth and the lower latency. So transmission media are the materials that are capable of carrying one or more signals. That means these can be some wireless routers or some other wired communication media. So in this uh, phase of current internet or communication development, we have broadband internet connection, which transmit multiple signals simultaneously. So whenever you transfer signals from one point to another, these are called the packets, which are the pieces of data transferred over a network. So usually we have the packet header, in which we have sending and receiving address, and the packet payload, which contains the metadata about the data and the actual data itself. So you can see an example of sending a request over the internet using a communication channel. So I would request you to go through these examples to understand the concept further. Now, once we have the basic understanding of how computers connect with each other, we can look at the communication devices. So, communication devices are responsible for carrying information from one place to another. So, usually we have a network card which enables the computer or device to connect through a network. So these are available in a variety of styles, and these can be wireless network cards and have often an antenna. So if you are familiar with the outdated network identity cards, you may have seen these versions of modems, or in current age you have hubs and switches. So hub is usually center of a store network, and all nodes receive transmitted packets through this hub. This is a slow and insecure network communication device. On the other hand, we have a little bit more advanced devices which are switches. So switches are replacement for the hubs, and these are only intended uh, for the particular nodes which receive transmission, and these are fast and secure than the previously adapted communication devices. Another two commonly used communication devices are router and gateway. So you may have seen the router connected at your home or other organizations. So routers connect two or more LANs together, and packets sent to remote LANs cross through the router. So network is segmented by IP address, and you can connect multiple IP addresses through a router. So router is responsible for your connection through internal networks and through to the internet. So you have to configure the router before its installation. On the other hand, a gateway connects two dissimilar networks. So you can connect a coaxial network to a twisted pair network using a gateway. So most gateways contained in other devices. So these are usually wireless access points, or in short WAPs, which are central communication devices that allows computers and devices to transfer data wirelessly among themselves or to a wide network. So depending upon the accessibility, a network can be divided on the basis of intranet and extranet. Intranet makes the information accessible to internal employees only, and it typically includes a connection to the internet. So an intranet is an internal network that uses the internet technology. On the other hand, an extranet allows the customers or the suppliers to access parts of its intranet. So whenever you communicate on a network, you need the network protocols and standards. A protocol is a set of rules for a particular situation, and you may have some communication protocols which are set of rules to determine how devices on a network communicate. On the other hand, standards are a wide set of criteria or the requirements approved by a recognized standard organization. So you have network standards which address how network computers connect and communicate. So these are needed to ensure the products can work with other products. So together they can form a language of the network, which may include rules for communication, error resolution between the network. It can define collusion and collision recovery, size of the packets, and naming rules for the computers. So one of the commonly used and most widely used communication protocol is the TCP/IP. So it stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. So it consists of two responsible for delivery of the data, and IP provides the addressing and routing information. So it uses the packet switching. That means if you send the package from a sender to receiver, these are sent in arbitrary manner, and then these packets are assembled at the receiver end. So here is an illustration of the example of a TCP/IP protocol. Another commonly protocol used is the Wi-Fi standard 802.11. So Wi-Fi 802.11 is a family of wireless networking standards using the IEEE standard 802.11. So these are widely available in computers, mobile phones, cameras, and other portable devices. So Wi-Fi is the current standard for wireless networks in homes and offices, and these are designed for medium range communication. Another commonly used network is the cellular network, which is used in mobile phones. So it has some cellular standards which are continually evolving. So if you are familiar with the first generation cellular standards, these were analog and contained only voice information. That means you can only call from one mobile device to another. In the second generation mobile phones, we had the digital communication, in which we had both the voice communication and the data communication. In third generation, which is the current standard in many countries, which includes higher transmission of the digital information between mobile phones, such as allowing the video transmission over the network. Fourth generation is improvement of the third generation, which is an emerging standard in many of the countries, and high-speed internet is available in fourth generation. The next technology is the 5G internet, which is spreading widely across the globe. So apart from the Wi-Fi standard, we have many short-range wireless standards, and one of the commonly used short-range wireless standard is the Bluetooth, which has very short range, usually about 10 feet. And Bluetooth is used for communication between computers and mobile devices and even peripheral devices. So Bluetooth devices are automatically networked with each other when they are in the range. So this table shows the speeds of various internet connections. So as you can see, there are different technologies or type of lines represented in the first column, and in the second column we have the approximate monthly cost and the transfer rates. So as the technologies are advanced with the development over the years, the speed is likely to increase. And if we have used a dial-up connection, it usually had up to 56 kbps speed, and in current environments we usually have about 10 gigabits of speed in fast networks. So our final topic of the discussion is the OSI network model. So, and it is an ISO standard that covers all aspects of network communication in the open system interconnection model. It was first introduced in the late 1970s, and it has 7 layers of communication. It is often called OSI layered model. So as you can see, in the top level we have application, and then application to presentation to the session, transport, network, data link, and physical. The physical layer usually refers to the actual transmission of data through the wire. The application layer refers to the actual presentation of the layer onto the screen. So for each layer we have a different protocols, and for the top few layers we have peer-to-peer protocols on some of the layers. And in the network layer we have network protocols, data link protocols, and physical link protocols. So whenever you want to transfer information using the OSI model, you have to pass through these 7 layers. So at the top layer, when you have some data transfer from one point to another, you would like to allow access to network resources, and this is usually done by the application layer. So once you have the access to the resources, you would like to translate, encrypt, and compress your data to transfer. So the presentation is responsible for this operation. The presentation layer then looks for the session to establish, manage, and terminate sessions. The session layer then transfers information to the transport layer, which provides reliable process-to-process message delivery and error recovery. Then the final message is transferred to the network layer, which is responsible to move packets from source to destination and to provide interlinking. Usually, the bottom 3 layers are compact within one operation, and these are responsible to organize bits into frames to provide hop-to-hop delivery using the data link layer. And finally, the physical layer is responsible to transmit bits over the medium to provide mechanical and electrical specifications. So that is the end of this lecture, and if you want to read more about the topic, you can go through the recommended books, or you can ask me any questions. Thank you very much.